So I did a service over the winter, you may remember, and it was about the winter season, which is the water element. And I have taught Qigong and Tai Chi for many years. I've studied in China. And just a few little explanations, because we call the system in China, we call it traditional Chinese medicine, or TCM. And that includes practices that you're all familiar with: herbal medicine, feng shui, acupuncture, qigong, tai chi, many things that I'm not going to list them all. Qigong was something developed in China about 2,500 years ago, and it was the same time as yoga was developed in India. And it was a way to keep the royal family of China healthy. It's the mother of Tai Chi and other various martial arts, which developed about 1,000 years later. And the components of Qigong are movements, meditation, self-massage, which a lot of times is just tapping, and breath work. So that's just a little summary. There's 5 elements and 5 seasons in traditional Chinese medicine. So we're now in the summer season, which is the fire element, but there's also a late summer season, which is the earth element, and a fall season, which is the metal element, and winter, which is the water element, which I already mentioned, and spring, which is the wood element. So today we're talking about the summer season, which is the fire element. The fire element is connected to the heart, as I mentioned earlier, and to the pericardium and to the small intestines. The fire element is the spark from which all life derives. The main emotion of this element is joy, which, when in balance, represents an overwhelming enthusiasm for life. The balancing emotions are patience, acceptance, kindness, and most importantly, remaining grounded and centered. So there's nothing wrong with joy. The emotions of some of the other seasons are fear and anger, and so you might be thinking, so what's wrong with joy? Isn't joy a good thing? Yeah, but you know, in summer we tend to get carried away with things, and we get overly tired and too many things going on, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The animal connected to the fire element is the crane, which represents balance and beauty, elegance, right? Feathers, longevity. This is just a small little replica of a crane. In China, they stand 10 feet tall. And notice that this crane is on top of a turtle, a tortoise. And that's very common. And do you know why that is? Because they both represent longevity. Cranes can live to be 80 years old. And tortoises, of course, can live much longer than that. So they both represent longevity. In China, it's very common when it's your birthday for somebody to say to you, "May you live as long as a crane." You could adapt that in your life if you'd like to. They've got these big, wide feet, and that helps them with their balance. The climate of this season is hot. And the sound connected with this fire element is ha, or laughter. The fire element is our passion. This season invites us to bring more enthusiasm, more warmth, more extroversion, more joy, to be as energetic as children. Now, I want to talk just a little bit about the heart and the pericardium. The heart, and then I'm going to talk about it in more detail. But the heart, according to traditional Chinese medicine, is the container of joy, of laughter, of creativity. And it stores the shen, or the spirit. It rules the blood and the blood vessels. It oversees the circulation of blood and also warmth. The pericardium, according to Western medicine, is the sac that surrounds the heart, which provides protection and lubrication. But in traditional Chinese medicine, it protects the heart, just like Western medicine. So let's talk a little bit about these amazing hearts that we have. Now, our hearts don't look anything like Valentine's Day cards. They don't look anything like this that people seem to hold up quite a bit, or what you carve on tree trunks. That's not the way a heart looks. And our hearts aren't over here on the left side of our chest. Our hearts are right in the center under your breastbone. They're about the size of your fist, and they weigh less than a pound. And you all know that the heart's a muscle that contracts, but the heart has an electrical system as well. You've all seen an EKG, that's the electrical system of the heart. And it actually has two pumps. One pump sends the blood to the lungs, and the other one sends it out to the rest of the body. The heart has one job to do, and it does it really, really well. It beats. It beats about 100,000 times a day. 100,000 times a day. It rhythmically and powerfully pushes blood throughout our bodies. Every hour, our hearts dispense about 70 gallons of blood. That's, if you want to do the math, 1,680 gallons every day. And the journey of blood through your body takes about 50 seconds to complete. There are 25,000 miles of blood vessels in your body. 25,000, mostly tiny capillaries. And as you know, blood carries oxygen and hormones and other chemicals. It carries off wastes, it tracks down and kills pathogens, it directs oxygen to parts of the body that need it. It helps to regulate your body temperature. It signals our emotions when we blush, when we're angry. Wow, what an amazing, amazing organ. And we don't have to program it. We don't have to turn it off and turn it on again to restart it. We don't have to do any of that. Now let's talk about fire for just a minute. So fire is a complex phenomenon. It's a chemical reaction that releases heat and light. And fire flows which direction? Up. It's intense. And we a lot of times think of fire as something negative. But if you think about the role it's played in human civilization, that's pretty crucial. Cooking, heat for homes, used in metalworking, we do controlled burns. And fire has a transformational element. Are y'all familiar with the phoenix, who rises from the ashes to begin life anew? Fire supports cultural rituals. Fire is used for purification. So now I want to tie those together and talk about the characteristics of the fire element. I already mentioned joy, communication, passion, excitement, enthusiasm, active, vibrant. When it's in balance, the fire element gives you a love of life and infuses you with an inner light and motherly warmth. It inspires us to reach out, to communicate well, to make connections. However, when it's out of balance, we have anxiety. We have difficulty planning for the future, maybe. Maybe we have difficulty being alone. Maybe we feel restless. Maybe sleep becomes a problem. Irritability, intensity, overexcited, blood pressure changes, poor circulation, dizziness, heartburn. So an excess of the fire element is hyperexcitability. That has 8 syllables. Did you know that word has 8 syllables? That would make you hyper-excitable if you had to pronounce hyper-excitability a lot. Agitation, restlessness, the tendency to blow up over little stuff, to get overheated, to overdo, to burn out by the end of summer. Have you ever burned out by the end of summer? I see some nods and some, no, I got it. If your fire element is deficient, that's a lack of joy, a feeling of apathy, feeling lost, depressed, melancholy, maybe some sluggish digestion, feeling overwhelmed, feeling too busy to enjoy life. So how do we restore the balance of the fire element? Well, of course, we can move slower, we can do less, we can pace our activities, we can take deep breaths. But what really helps us to restore our natural balance is to being in nature. So try this on a day where it's not super hot and super humid. There's got to be one coming up sometime, don't you think? Find a spot in nature that feels good to you, which could be your back porch. You don't have to go climb a mountain. You don't have to drive to the ocean or a big lake or anything like that. It could be your back porch, your yard, your garden. And then settle in, let yourself zone out and become part of the environment for a while. When we tune into our senses, we find there is so much more going on in the world than we realized. And that gives us a feeling of stillness, helps restore our equilibrium. You feel more in balance, you feel more connected, you feel more in the present. And the great thing about this is you can remember this feeling when you're not in nature. Do you ever do that? Have you ever been somewhere in nature and then someday you're kind of having a crazy day or whatever, and you close your eyes and you're sitting in your recliner or whatever, and you remember what that felt like, right? Are you doing that right now? Are you remembering some place that you were in nature and it was just really, really nice? So you can do that anytime. Good for busy and stressful days. And so walking is or strolling outside is a really good thing to do when we're very busy. Soaking up beauty, letting ourselves just be, and leaving our phones at home or in our pocket. I always feel sad for people that are out for a walk, but they're on their phone the whole time, and they're not even looking up, they're looking down the whole time. Walking gets everything moving, and not just on a physical level. It creates more fluidity in your mind, changes your thinking, your intelligence starts to kick in, helps your heart interpret this natural world. And as you walk, you want to be loose and flexible. You can sense the earth's power sometimes when you walk, letting your feet touch the ground, and maybe you can feel the energy of the earth from its core coming up through you, and maybe you can feel the strength of the earth as you move. Think about that the next time you're out for a walk, by yourself, nice, or with somebody else, but quiet. And relax and breathe with the earth so that you feel part of the earth, and soak up the trees and the plants and the birds and all the other sounds that are there that we sometimes don't pay any attention to. Look up and feel the sunshine on your face. Listen to the sounds you make when you're walking, crunching maybe. Notice the smell. Feel the breeze on your skin. Now, how about walking barefoot? Some of you are thinking, oh, I don't think so. How would you feel about that? Now, you're going to be really careful. And some people have issues with their feet. Some people don't have good sensation in their feet. You have to take all of that into consideration. But we got nice thick grass right now because it rains and rains and rains. And so we've got nice thick padding in our yards right now. It's a real beneficial contact with the earth, making it a part of your connection to the land. Or you could put a blanket down and you could lie down, which is even nicer, especially if you're under a tree and you feel that dappled sunlight coming through. Very, very nice. Good for the immune system. Good whenever you have any kind of inflammation going on in your body, but it also might be good for anxiety, stress, insomnia. any of those things. When we walk and we're near the trees, our energy changes and we kind of slow down. And when we sit with the trees, we become more balanced and aligned to the natural rhythm of the earth. So I'm hoping you might want to be able to put aside time to be with the trees. Maybe touch a tree with your hands, place your back against it. How long has it been since you've climbed into a tree? Long time, right? Maybe you can remember what it was like to climb into a tree. And spend time breathing that oxygen-rich air around the tree. 5 minutes of deep tree breathing will bring a lot of benefits to your body. It'll fill your cells with life-giving oxygen and the airborne nutrients that the trees bring up from the ground. And remember, trees are huge converters of carbon dioxide. It's interesting to listen to the trees too, the sound of the wind or just even a slight breeze, which is different from each tree and at different times of the year. Same tree, and at different weathers, the tree will sound different when it's moving. And allow the tree to help you slow down so you can listen with your heart. And thank the tree before you leave. It's a nice thing to do. It really is, and the trees appreciate it very much. I lead a flute circle and a drum circle, and we meet at Emma McCarthy Lee Park once a month. And one of the things we do, and I see some people smiling that have done this with me, and we go and we ask the tree if we can talk to the tree, and then we play to the tree. And then we thank them when we leave. And we only do that for 5 minutes, and everybody really, really enjoys it. Now, if you can find an oak tree, which they are plentiful, and the other thing to remember is oak trees are often in folklore and legend, summer solstice, it's usually an oak tree. And the oak roots go deep into the ground, very, very deep, and that balances their heavy branches above. The oak trees are almost one of the last trees to get leaves, and they hang on to the leaves for a long, long time. There's as much root below the ground as the branches above in an oak tree. Isn't that interesting? And that helps us to remember to keep balance between work and play. I have an oak tree that I go talk to, and I don't have a name for him. He's a silver oak tree. Yesterday it was so buggy, I made a very quick visit in the woods. But it's nice to have a connection with one tree or a group of trees or a tree that you can see with the changes of the seasons. So we also want to celebrate summer. We want to bring more playfulness, more fun, more celebration. Think about what you loved to do when you were a kid. Think about what makes you come alive. You know, throw a party, stargaze, watch animals, watch insects, pick berries, pick flowers, sit on your porch, spend time near water, walk in the rain. One of the things on my list was run through a sprinkler. We don't need to do that right now. We have enough rain. Get some sunlight, move outside. Just find ways to keep yourself cool on really hot days. And food. Indulge in colors of the seasons. Make a rainbow on your plate. Get all the colors going there. Eat fresh fruits and vegetables. Raw foods that'll help keep you cool. There are cooling foods: watermelon, green leafy, veggies, cucumbers, limes, coconut, mint. Those are all cooling things. Support the farmers markets. Find ways to connect with other people at meal times, and drink lots and lots and lots and lots of water.